what is the future of the two-door Wrangler? I see a lot of two-door diehards that are really upset that they didn't come out with new models for them. I see a lot of people that say, look, four-door is the way to go. That's the way of the future. In today's video, I want to talk about the pros and the cons of owning a two-door, my personal history with a two-door, some reasons why they might not be investing so much in them, and then also just my thoughts at the end. But let me know why you think it should stay or why you think it should go. This is going to be a fun one, so let's get into it. My very first vehicle was a 1995 Jeep YJ that I purchased from my dad. But prior to that, I had been rolling around from the ages of, oh, heaven knows, I could probably ask him, 6 or 7 years old in a CJ7 with the windshield folded down going to football practice. And I can remember in that Jeep, the fuel gauge used to actually go out. And there was one time before we were going to practice where it ran out about half a mile from the fuel station. And my dad was like, well, this will be a good pre-practice workout for you. Let's push it a little bit towards the gas station. So I have owned multiple YJs, TJs, JKs, never a two-door JL, but I've owned kind of all the classics. Worked on them, had fun with them, and honestly, I do have a very soft spot in my heart. But to me, my opinion on them is that they do seem a little bit more nostalgic. I've even owned a couple classic trucks. I've driven things around like that, and when you hop into a two-door, you just can kind of feel the nostalgia around you. It feels like it should always have the top off, it should have no doors on, and you should be able to spray out the floorboards and just roll wherever you please. That's the way I personally see it, and kind of that's my whole perception on it. Right now I do own a four-door Wrangler, and the reason being is because I have a young family. So I've got a wife and a little guy. I constantly have people in there. The four-door just makes more sense for me. Even going on longer trips with that extended wheelbase helps increase the ride quality and also just gives me more space for all the magnitude of things that my wife needs to pack when we go to the beach. But my opinion and my personal experience with the two-door is it holds a special spot in my heart, but I would say anymore, it is getting a little bit more nostalgic when I think about would I order a brand new one. So let's talk pros. Now, I do know a lot of my friends, a lot of our friends on the channel here have personally ordered through Lindsay down at Dan Cummins. I know Charpy and then Jonathan, they both ordered two-doors, and Jonathan actually ordered a two-door in pumpkin orange with a stick shift and a soft top. Now, when I was kind of going through both of those guys, hey, why are you ordering a two-door? What are your plans with a build in the future? I asked them, what were you looking for? You know, what are some of your pros with this? And the biggest thing that they said is they were looking to take it on adventures, and they enjoyed how short of the wheelbase it was and how maneuverable these things are on the trail. I personally, on my JK, I had 40s on there, long arms, the whole works, and literally I could just point it where I wanted to go, and it would traverse any sort of terrain that I was sending it through. With the way that the shortened wheelbase is, the breakover angle is so much better than a four-door, and then also you just get that decreased turning radius, so you can turn and easily maneuver through tighter trees. And to be honest with you, I just feel more connected when I'm in a two-door. I feel like I know exactly where each corner of the vehicle is, and I don't need to wonder, okay, there's another door behind me, and then I've got that section. I can literally see the taillight, and it's a few feet behind my front seat. So that's some big pros of the two-door. The biggest thing that I like to see is if you have a specific intended purpose for it, you're a retired person, you don't have as many people in your family, those are some huge pros for you. So getting one of those that is new, you get all the creature comforts of a brand new vehicle, but then you get such heightened maneuverability, and you save a little bit of coin because it is ultimately cheaper than the four-door. I want to tell you when I'm talking about cons, these are all subjective. So just like every person has the right to have their own opinion, these are just some of my opinions on some of the cons of a two-door. I want to hear yours. Maybe list out the pros and cons in the comments down below, and we can debate those. But the cons for me, the nostalgia aspect of the two-door, I think went away a little bit with the JK and then a little bit more with the JL. I told you guys my first Jeep was a YJ, my second Jeep was a TJ, and I've had a lot of those vehicles where I never ran carpet, I never ran a hard top or a soft top, I had a bikini top throughout the entire summer, and it felt easier for me to maintain. When I removed all the carpet, there was nothing on the floors. There might have been one wiring harness that was going underneath kind of the entrance sill, but there was no extra vent plates. There was no wiring running all over the floor. If you guys remove the carpet on a JL two-door right now, especially a 23, there is a ton of wiring, a ton of plastic, different gadgets, different things underneath the seats. It doesn't feel as nostalgic and like I could just rinse it out with a pressure washer when I'm done with it. It's very updated and modern, and I gotta say, when you're hopping into a vehicle that I want nostalgia out of, it doesn't feel like that for me. The second one is, for me, it's just the space. So if I'm paying that kind of money, which you can get two-door Rubicons up into the 50s and 60s, I'd rather spend a few grand more to have that extra set of doors and all that extra space. Heck, if I wanted to, I could remove that complete rear seat, put a goose gear unit down or a flat panel, still have a two-door, but get all that extra space in there. So I think for me, the price point of a two-door just isn't where I would like it to be. I would like it to be a substantial amount less than the four-door to really see the advantage of me buying one, because I think the two doors are built for a specific purpose. That's for more off-roading, for more wheeling, and some more off-road adventures. If you're going to make one like that, make the price point a little bit readily available for those that really want to have an adventure with it. So a con, like anything anymore, would be the price. The next section of this video I wanted to talk about is maybe why they're not investing as much into the two-door. Now you got to look at this from a couple different sides. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Stellantis is a company for profit. So when you're a company for profit, you've got a lot of things to consider. You need to consider the fact that you need to make money on these vehicles, and you need to make it pretty well, especially when you're investing millions into stamps, into molds, into the designers and the architects that are controlling all of this. You need to definitely make sure that you're going to be getting your money out of it. With that being said, I think there are a lot of models, additions, different options that we never saw on the two-door, simply because it wasn't as big of a portfolio for the overall Wrangler sales. I've heard a couple things going around the rumor mill, but the most frequent that I hear is that two-door Wranglers are less than 10% of all Wrangler sales. I gotta be honest with you guys, that is a very small portion, and when you consider all the fees and costs associated with updating, adding new features, adding new options, to only amount for that small section of the Wrangler, it's pretty tricky to invest that as a business. Would we all like to see it as enthusiasts? Absolutely. But let's be honest with you, the world doesn't run on hopes and dreams, and the company has to make profit in order for it to continue and build other vehicles. Let's talk about the models that we didn't see on the two-door. I know a lot of guys continuously ask me about it. We never saw an Extreme Recon on the two-door. We never saw the extended lift kit, the 35s, all the goodies that came with it. I think there was a big reason for that besides the amount of R&D that had to go into it. Back in the day of the CJ7, they were completely notorious on a 60-minute episode for having a high rollover risk. In today's day and age of lawsuits, of people going sue crazy and sue happy, I don't think it would have been wise for them to add that lift kit, add the 35s, and then drop it out as a stock vehicle. While a lot of people said they would be interested in it, I think the risks were a little bit too inherent, as well as the costs involved to R&D to install that, to produce it, and then mass market it throughout the entire population. Also, another couple things we never saw the diesel option, we never saw the 4xe on the two-door, and the Heavenly 392, which I do not think we will ever see on a two-door. Those engines do take up a little bit more space, they're a lot more weight, and on a two-door platform, it's just a lot of weight and a lot of different things to be added onto the front. Could you guys imagine a 392 in the two-door with 470 horsepower and expect some young kid that purchases one to not roll it completely over? I know I could easily see that happen, and that is not something that Jeep's going to want to take the risk, and then ultimately take a financial risk of producing it when it only has this little portion of sales. The biggest one, though, I think for a lot of guys, was the 20th anniversary wasn't released on the two-door. Now, we did see that in the 10th anniversary, and then, of course, the original '03 Rubicon, and I think that that was a big hit for a lot of folks. We never saw the 20th, it wasn't revealed, and to be honest with you, the 4xe hasn't been around for 20 years. The Rubicon nameplate has. The 392 in the four-door was completely acceptable, but not doing it on the two-door, I think, hurt a lot of purists. But if I'm being honest with you guys, I think it hurt a lot of purists' feelings, but I think it would have hurt a lot worse if they dropped a 20th anniversary two-door Rubicon and the MSRP was 65 grand. I think that Jeep is kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. It seems like you cannot make people happy no matter which way you look at it. So if they would have dropped a 20th anniversary, perhaps not sold as many as they would have liked to, and invested a ton into adding the new seats, the air compressor, the added features, or they would have just released it for 65 grand, they would have been hearing about it no matter what they did. So I think they chose ultimately to do it with the four-door and the four-door 4xe just because they already have the market share and they know that they're going to sell out. We personally purchased a 392 20th anniversary for the channel, and I think it's going to be a great addition. However, if you guys would like a 20th anniversary two-door, I would imagine you could probably retrofit a lot of those parts. Let's talk about my favorite part, the future. What does the future look like for the two-door Wrangler? Now, obviously, honestly, this is conjecture, this is all subjective, and this is based upon my personal opinions of what I think is going to happen and what we've also previously seen. So Jeep's made a lot of statements lately. The biggest one that they said was that by 2025, their entire fleet will be electrified. That doesn't mean complete electric, it doesn't mean all EV, but electrified means that basically every engine will have a 4xe or an electric motor component to it. Saying that, I haven't seen a two-door that had the 4xe components added to it, and I think the hardest part is finding a secondary spot to hold that battery. On the 4xe four-door Wranglers, it's tucked nicely underneath the rear seat, there's space for it, and the Jeep has the payload to hold it. If you tried to add a 400 to 500 pound battery onto the back of a two-door, I do not know where personally you would put it, unless you shoved it underneath the tub, removed the rear seat, or took out a lot of storage in the back. I just don't see where it would fit. Let me know in the comments if you have a different way of you seeing where that would work. I don't know what we're going to see for the future, but the biggest thing also that I've seen is that they've only had patents newly released for the four doors and the Gladiators. I haven't seen anything on a two-door when it comes to fresh patents. That makes me a little bit nervous for the next generation. The iteration of the Jeep Recon, which we saw released about a year ago, will be coming in the future, and same thing, we only saw that in a four-door. There is a reason that a lot of auto manufacturers have removed sedans, they've removed two-door coupes, and they've completely gone to mid-size, small size, or large size SUVs is because Americans just want more space. I would say the future for the two-door is kind of up in the air right now, and ultimately it's up to the enthusiasts to decide whether that's going to stick around. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see, and the best way for you to do that is to stay tuned on this channel, because we kind of hear a lot of news on the back end, and I put a lot of things together from all of our experience in the market. Alright guys, so the moment of truth, my final thoughts, what I think as a Jeep person, from all my experience, from everything that I've seen in the past, what I see coming in the future, it's hard for me to say. I mean, on one side, I absolutely love the two-door. It holds a special place in my heart, but with that being said, I also think that there have been a ton produced already, and if I wanted to feel nostalgic, I told you before, I would probably pick up a YJ, keep it in the garage, build it up a little bit with a small lift, and then drive it through the summer and leave the top and doors off of it. I think in the future, looking at it business-wise, looking at it production-wise, we might see the two-door go away. I'm just going to be honest with you guys, from everything that I talked about in this video, from the business side of it, from the R&D, from the amount of money invested, the time invested into it, as well as just the overall sales, I think this might be your last opportunity to pick up a two-door, but who knows? I really don't know, but in my opinion, I think we might see it go away. I know a lot of people have picked up a ton of cool colors in them. You're still able to order one for 2023, but I think in the next 2024 and 2025, we're really going to figure out what's going on. I wish Jeep would give us a good roadmap of what they were doing, but if they did, then all the other competitors will know exactly where they could hit them at their weak point and know what their plans are for the future. I think if you guys are interested in a two-door, if you love one, if you have one, I want to hear about it in the comments. I know I keep saying that, but that's where really this conversation gets going. And I want to hear why you think we should still buy one, or why you think the four-door is the way to go. Let me know down in the comments, because I'd love to chat with you guys. Overall though, this has been a very interesting video, and it's something that Ryan behind the camera came up with. He's a two-door guru. Ryan's had a Gecko JK. I personally had a ton of two-doors. He had a two-door, and that's the way he would go if he was going to order one. He's a young dude. He's a single guy. So hint, hint, ladies, if you're looking. Plug, shameless plug. But yeah, he's a two-door guy. We're all two-door guys around here. We like to see them, but I don't know how much longer they're going to last. This has been a fun video, and I really want to hear from you guys in the comments. And if you guys like the channel, make sure to stick around, hit that like and subscribe. And if you've been around for a while, don't forget to pick up some merch. It is live on the DRC website. Till next time though, my name is Matt with Dirt Road Cred, and I want you to get out there and earn yours.